What is the 7x7 program? Actually a postcard, and this is one side of the postcard as you see here on the screen. And you have a consecration service, and at the consecration service, you're going to ask your saints to write down 7 names that God is laying on their heart. If you can see in the fine print there in the light blue, 7 white boxes, is recommendations, but you don't have to go by the recommendations. It's the 7 names that God has laid on their heart. So the recommendations here is a family member, a neighbor, a co-worker, a friend, your kids' classmates' family, a service provider that you use in your community, or contacting an old classmate of your own. So those are 7 recommendations. On the left side of the postcard, there's a white box there for the saint to put their name. Reason for that is, as a pastor, you would want to take a picture of this postcard. And so you can pray for those 7 folks and pray for that person reaching those 7 folks. It also gives them accountability. And you can take that picture with your cell phone, or you can run it through a copy machine. So you have a list of all these names. I talked about the youth group and their 100 names. What they did is they wrote the 100 names on the blackboard in their classroom. So every time they have Sunday school, they can pray for those 100 names. So this is one side of this one side of the 7x7. The other 7 on the other side of the card is the 7 steps of building relationships. So the concept here is those 7 names that they wrote down. They want to take time and go through 7 steps before inviting them to church. The first step being, we talked about praying that God will lay those names on your heart. That happens at the consecration service, the kickoff. Number 2, you don't want to just only pray for their soul. You want to pray for their needs. So if you know that they have a need, and if you don't, you can find out what kind of needs they might have. You want to pray for that because you want them to experience a miracle. Okay? They don't have to come to church to experience a miracle. When they know that you're praying for their situation and God intervenes, what a testimony. Okay? They have their own testimony. And that's a great motivation for them to come to church and give their life to God. Step 3 is you want to learn about them, about their family, their common interests, and ask in any way that you can assist. Step 4 is offer to meet a need and to be of assistance. Help them with a chore, help them with a repair, help them find a job, cook a meal for them, whatever their need is, that you can step in and you can meet a need with them. Step number 5 is to celebrate a special day with them and to share a meal. So you can make that possibly 2 steps. Remember their birthday or celebrate the 4th of July with them. Okay? And I'm the kind of person, I believe you should never teach anybody a Bible study unless you've had them over to your house for a meal first. And that's very important in establishing a good relationship and friendship, is sharing a meal. Step number 6 is you want to ask them about their life story, history, values, and faith. You really want to try to understand their heartbeat. Excuse me. And this is extremely key. Have an interest in who they are. And then step number 7 is to share your testimony on how you found God and share what God can do for them. Encourage them to ask questions, and then ask them for a Bible study or to join you in a home fellowship group or to invite them in church. Now, this is not the perfect plan, okay? As for instance, the young lady whose friend called was in the middle of a trauma while she was praying. By that next Sunday, she was in church, okay? But this is the focus. This is the direction we want people to take. And God can intervene at any of these steps and touch somebody's life. But this is something that everybody can do. So what are the challenges that the 7x7 program is addressing? You know, what are we trying to fix, you might say? We live in a world that lacks healthy social skills. We're so much stuck on social sites that have nothing to do with being social. And we are a very scared society. It's always in the news, somebody's shooting, somebody trust was broken with somebody else, and you can't trust anybody, and you always want to lock the car. And so we've kind of become antisocial. And what we're encouraging your saints to do is to take small steps to being social. And when they do that, God can move with the prayer and work through them. Now, I've been with the Apostolic Bible Institute for 34 years, and every year it seems like somebody's pulling a new rabbit out of the hat, some kind of a new community outreach way to trick people into attending church. The 7x7 program, there is no contest, there is no prizes, there's no jumping houses. It's an authentic invite to church. And so this is not a trick program. If you're looking for a trick program, this is helping people really doing everyday evangelism and being encouraged and helped and engaged in doing that. The Relationships to Revival 7x7 Journey is an invest and invite program. So you invest in people, then you invite them. That guides your members in the relationships towards an authentic invite to a home fellowship group, a Bible study, or a church event. So what's the benefits of the 7x7 program? Well, it's going to increase the number of visitors. Now, 7x7 program is very focused on visitors, but that's, as you know, not the end game. The end game is getting people to be discipled and to be everyday Christians and to grow in Christ. We're only working at the point of getting people high quality, authentic invite into church, and then to move on from there to your next programs. So we're increasing visitors. This engages a whole church in evangelism year-round. Everybody can be a part of the 7x7 program. It builds expectations for a great revival. The youth had a little experience, and they said, let's go out and do it. And they're talking about adding 100 more souls to the list. And so it builds this excitement and expectations. It develops the saints' confidence in personal evangelism. The quote-unquote pew warmer who had that one person come in and receive the Holy Ghost, she exploded and she went out and invited everybody within 2 blocks of her house to church and got 2 more families. So it builds up their confidence. It eliminates busy work, and it focuses on small, powerful steps that matter. Okay? We're not doing something super fancy here. It's very practical and very applicable and useful. Leverages team accountability and participation, and we'll explain a little more on that. Anybody who tries to skip out of your 7x7 program will be the odd person out, but in a very kind way. So it really encourages everybody to be accountable and to participate. And it's executed with minimal costs, but yet maximum results. That's what the 7x7 program is. Let's take a minute and see what kind of questions may be coming up. Okay, we're getting a lot of people online here. Thanks, Brent, Jamie, Jack, Barry, Ben, Nate, Thomas, and do please, put your questions in the comments, and we will stop once in a while to take a look here and see if we can answer all of your questions. And if we don't get your questions answered during this presentation, I will contact you by email afterwards and answer your questions. Okay, so to execute the 7x7 program, I want to show you 9 steps to success, and we're going to throw in an extra bonus step here for you. Okay, the first one is that consecration service. The 7x7 program should be taken pretty serious and elevated as a serious program, have a kickoff service, a consecration service, preach consecration, sing consecration, have prayer time before people fill out the 7 names. As much I like things to be mechanic and systematic, this is a God thing, and God needs to be in it from the beginning, and all the saints need to recognize this is a very important thing to do to reach their friends and neighbors. Okay, you want to pray for the 7x7. Now, what I mean by this is every church service you have, like when you take a prayer request and you're praying for those prayer requests, ask everybody to hold up their 7x7 card and to pray for the 7 people on their card. Encourage them to put in their Bible and to bring it to church. This is where you increase responsibility, accountability, and participation, because if somebody's not holding up their 7x7 card, they're going to feel a little bit guilty. And you always have extra 7x7 cards in the vestibule or on the altar. where people can pick them up and refill them out, or if they never got one originally from the Consecration Service, they can get one. But when they see everybody else holding their cards up and praying for them, they will want to have their card too. This also keeps it in front of them at all times. They're always thinking about the next step they need to do with those 7. Okay, if you just do the card and you put it away, the program will die really quick. So to keep from having a false start, you want to pray. Now, I know in our beta church, the pastor there actually prays for them at the end of the service. Everybody's hold them up and prays for them at the end of the service, at the end of the altar call. You can do that way too. Also, when the pastor takes the pictures on the cell phone of the cards or runs them through a photocopier so he can pray for them, that builds accountability as well. And yet nobody's embarrassed, but yet you're also encouraging them to not be the odd person out, to stay and stick with the program. So the last step of the 7 relationship building steps is sharing their testimonies. And people have sometimes even kind of subconsciously forgotten their testimony. And so you want them to practice it. And so a good way to have people practice their testimony is maybe take 2 or 3 every service and have them come up and do their testimony from the pulpit, have them write it down, and get comfortable sharing their testimony. Also, by sharing their testimony in church with their peers, it really opens up a lot of appreciation. I know in my church, I've been there for 34 years. I know most people, and I know their background. And I can just look around the church and just really appreciate what God has done in all these different lives and how he's brought them all together, and it builds some unity. So in addition to them getting the practice of speech, of doing their testimony and thinking it through, and then practicing it in front of everybody, it also builds appreciation and unity among the saints. And then you can role play the 7 steps. So you can have 2 or 3 people put together a small skit and do that one service, and maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, do step number 2. 2 or 3 weeks later, do step number 3. Role play really helps a lot of people to think through how they're going to execute those steps. Asking them to do it's one thing, but then showing them how to do it's another. And so in the role play, you can give a scenario where somebody says, well, I'm too busy to come over, or you can role play, where have you been for the last 10 years, or things like that, things they may encounter, and show how to work through that. And that role playing will double the potential of what people can do, and them to follow through with it by doing those little skits 2 or 3 weeks apart over time, to encourage them to move on to the next step with their 7 friends. Then pastors, a weekly follow-up call. Now, if you got 50 people in your church, there's no way you're going to call 50 people. If you can call 2 or 3 a week, and when you call them, of course, you've already got a copy of their 7 names in their card. You want to call them and ask them about those 7 folks. How are they doing? What steps are they on? And hear if there's any hesitation, uncertainty, lack of confidence, and encourage that saint. Okay, maybe you want to invite them this way, or maybe do it on this day. Try to help them think through the challenge that they're having and working with their 7 people and the personalities and stuff. This is going to break through walls and issues that's been holding back for years, when you can coach them along the way. Okay, so you don't have to call everybody every week, but call a few each week, and help them over the blocks that they have to move forward with their steps. Okay, you want to share the excitement. So, somebody coming in church and becoming a Christian, that's very exciting, and you want to share that. But you also want to share the person praying, and their friend calls and asks them to pray, and they've already been praying for them. You want to share, oh, so-and-so went out to dinner, and they had a good time. You want to share testimonials of steps, making progress. And again, that's helping to build the confidence, and it's a little bit of peer pressure, and people will step up and say, well, if they can do it, I can do it. If God helped them, God can help me. And working through those 7 steps. And then you want to record success stories, videotape, cell phones, we've got them, record them, keep your library. You will pull these out later to put together videos to encourage people what they can do when they hear the testimonies of the success stories that have happened during this program, and this will help kick off and give energy and power into your next program. Don't miss this opportunity to record the stories. And then you want to host 7x7 events. A 7x7 event is an event you can announce to the church, hey, this is a visitor-focused event. Now, that event can be a community outreach type event, but more likely it should be a soul-saving event, a regular church service. But that church service needs to be addressed to visitors. You need to preach to visitors who don't understand the Bible. You don't assume that they understand the Bible. They don't understand Christian concepts and words. And so you don't use those in your sermon. You use real simple songs that make sense to them. And you make them feel very welcome, and you give them welcome packets, and you have good greeters, and you go all the way out for the visitors. And so you can announce 2 or 3 of your services during the year are 7x7 events. These are events that you can invite your 7 friends to, and it'd be a great foot in the door for them coming to church. Okay, and of course, Finishline Planner has all these steps, the plans, the dates, figured out for you in our pre-built model plans in Finishline Planner, so we can help you organize your staff and executing this plan with Finishline Planner. We'll go more over that later. And now for the 10th and bonus step. You may have some people that may be socially backwards. They may be mentally challenged. You wouldn't expect them to execute, be part of the 7x7 program. Put them with a partner. Help them share 7 names. Let them be a part. And that partner you put them with, of course, needs to support them and include them on cooking the meal, have them there for dinner, have them pray with their friend when they bring them to church. Include them, because everybody can do something. Everybody can be a part. So if they can't even do their own 7, if you have a shut-in, include them with a partner, and that shut-in can pray. Okay, everybody needs to be a part of the 7x7 program and realize that they are important to this program. So that's your 10th bonus success step. Okay, so everybody should see, as recommended by author Carlton Kuhn Sr., with the Post-it note. Let's see if anybody has any questions about that. Okay, so we're good to move forward with our demo. Okay, I'm going to log in with my test account. Okay, when you first log into Finishline Planner, your screen's going to look more like this. And this is for your team members. And when you first start, just start with 1 or 2 team members. Don't bring on the whole church. And so you get a little comfortable with it, then you can add more members on. But we're going to go to our models section here. And there's 2 sections. There is my models and the model library. And I'll clear my models out for now. So we start with no models under my models. Below the model library, these are the plans that ministers have built for us to help you. Anything from using their Bible reading for a fundraiser. Here's the 7x7 campaign, annual planning retreats, basic to-do lists, follow-up programs here by Brother Dan Kyle, community outreach, church picnic, job descriptions, Bible study ministries by Tim Massengale and Total Church Growth. We have coffee, hospitality ministries by Church Coffee, the new convert follow-up plan by Carlton Kuhn. All these are up and ready for you to go. So what you do when you go through the model library and you find something you like, first of all, in the 7x7 campaign, when you click on this little PDF link here, this is going to bring up our guide sheet. And I hope that you can see that. It's being shared. And then at the bottom, there's this download sample 7x7 card. And when you click on that, that gives you the PDF for printing out the 7x7 card. Okay, so that's where you get that from, is by clicking on that PDF there. Will give you those materials. But I want to add this to my models. This is a plan that I'm very interested in, so I'm going to add it. Then up here under my models, there it is, the 7x7 campaign model. All right, now nothing's happened. You can't see the plan, you can't see the steps. All we've done is we've added the 7x7 to the list under my models. To use this, I will go to plans. I'll add a plan. One of the choices I have when adding a plan is to choose a model. Notice I only have one model on this dropdown because I only have one model in my model section. If I had every model that ever will be in the model library, that list would be super long. And so what you're doing by adding it to my models is you're controlling the few models that you're interested in and not dirtying up your screen. So that's the 7x7 model. Okay, so I want to give it a name. So I'm going to name it the My Church 7x7 2017. Then I'm going to give it a date. The date I'm going to give is the kickoff date when I'm going to host that consecration service. So let's say I want to do that April the 30th. And then I'll click Create. Okay, so here is the plan. The plan here is divided up into 5 sections. There is a planning section that we see here with 5 steps. And the 5 steps are to review the 7x7 program contents, build the 7x7 team, prepare the 7x7 calendar, evaluate the 7x7 postcard design, because you may want to design it a little different than mine, and introduce your team, your leadership team, to the 7x7 program. Okay, so I'm going to click on the next section, Prepare. There's a lot of steps here to prepare. Promotional materials, printing in the bulletin, making announcements multiple times, and making sure everybody's ready. Prepare a sermon, prepare the postcards. There's a lot to do here to prepare for your kickoff. Then I'll go to Perform Services. And here we're doing some of the role plays. And notice the dates, we're scheduling them out every so often that we're doing the role plays. And following through with performing. And then the program follow-up. This is where you're reminding people to pray, you're organizing testimonies, success stories throughout the year. And there's a year's worth of those success steps to do here. And they're all scheduled out. And then the probe. This is the kind of the end of year follow-up. You want to do a postmortem with the team, and you want to record your success stories. All right, so all the steps are here. And what you want to do is assign these steps. So here's some of our different team members. And I just got some random test stuff here that we'll just randomly do. Now notice when I assign somebody to a step, it turns white. So I've answered the who, what, and when. If I answer those 3 questions, the icon turns white, the box turns white, and it tells me that now this thing is scheduled and ready. Okay? And so that's what I would do for the rest of these. Now, if you want to, you can delete a step by hitting that X there and tell it to delete. And if you want to do a new step, depending on which bucket you're in, the current bucket you're in, you can put in new step, and that creates the new step right here. And I can assign and can date that new step. So this way I'm able to customize my plan. Now, if I go to the clipboard, here are things that need to be done. Okay. And this little dot across the bottom will represent the percentage. So if this person's 25%, they can move the dot over. So it's in 25% increments, 0, 25, 50, 75, or 100. If you go to 100, you can mark it finished, it disappears. I can go 50% and say, you know what, I got an issue. I can make it blocked. Okay, and it turns red. Now, I can add notes here, and I can use Dropbox and attach documents. So we can do some collaboration. And so if I were to block this, I'd probably need to have a note saying, sorry, I was sick that day. And when I click back on there, I can see there's the note. All right. So as a pastor, I can see this one's in progress. I can go to recent work here. I can see that this was finished. This has an issue. That's in progress, and these others have not been started. Just real quick, looking at the colors there. Let's just take